Okay, so for the rest of Unit 7, we're going to be looking at tax forms, or I should say just one tax form. All the work that we're going to do on this is going to be from the same tax form, so you're not going to have to learn several of them or anything. Basically just a practice of doing the mathematics and following the directions, which is good practice for everyday types of applications that you may have to do. So it says, we've got this tax form here, and it's called a short schedule SE. It's used by self-employed individuals to calculate their self-employment tax. So we're supposed to scan this document to get a sense of what it's about. So first it asks for the net farm profit or loss. It asks if you received any Social Security, retirement, or disability benefits. Then it asks you to put in your net profit or loss, which is what you would have made from your business, because again this is for somebody who is self-employed. So this is a self-employment form. And then for 3, you're supposed to combine those 3. So you're supposed to take your farm profit, your Social Security, and your net profit and combine those and put that in line 3. Once you have that, you're supposed to multiply line 3 by 92.35%. If it's less than $400, then you can stop because you don't owe any self-employment tax. So they basically say, you know, oh, we're glad you tried to do your own business, but you didn't even make, you only made less than $400. We're not going to take any away from you. So it's kind of like you could just keep that. You don't have to pay anything on it. If line 4 is less than $400 due to Conservation Reserve Program payments, then it says to go to this other schedule. But we're not going to worry about that. That's not going to be an issue with what we're doing. So then if it's over $400 but less than $106,800, then we take that amount and we multiply it by 15.3%, and they even convert it to the decimal for us, 0.153, and enter that result. But if it's more than $106,800, we multiply that line by 2.9% or 0.029 and add on $13,243.20. Enter that total here. And then we have a deduction for 1/2 of self-employment tax. So we get to take whatever we get after doing all that and cut it in half, and then that's what you owe. So now it says that this person, I'm going to try to pronounce it, Sandoz Alianthi, sells crafts such as jewelry, baskets for extra money. She does not have a farm or get any benefits on line 1B. That's going to be the case with all the problems that we're doing. So for all the problems that we're doing, you can literally just assume that this is going to be 0, because we're not going to have any farm profit or Social Security, retirement, or disability benefits. So this is going to be 0 on all of our problems that we're doing. It says in 2010 she sold $11,385 in crafts, and her expenses totaled $3,862. Expenses are of course things that she bought for her business, that she spent money on to run her business. So it says to just fill out this form for Sandoz. How much self-employment tax does she owe? So first of all, we have to figure out this line, which is your net profit from your business. Now, sometimes they'll just give you the net profit in the problem, but in this particular problem, they gave you the income and the expenses. Now, if we subtract those, we'll get her profit. So she brought in $11,385, but she spent $3,862 of that on expenses. So that's not profit, that's money that she put out. So she doesn't have to be taxed on that because that wasn't actual income. So if we take $11,385 and we subtract $3,862, that's going to be just it's going to be $7,523. So this comes out to be $7,523. And that's the amount that we're going to enter here. So that 7,000, Oops, I moved that over a little bit, or I'm not going to fit it in there. So $7,523. And then it says for 3, we're supposed to combine these all. Well, of course, 0 plus 0 plus 7,523 is 7,523. Again, that's how all the problems that we're doing are going to be. So there's really not going to be, you're going to put a number here, and then you're just going to re-enter the number here because these are going to be zeros. So for 4, it says we're supposed to multiply that by 92.35%. So for this right here, we're going to do 7,523 times 0.9235. And again, I'm just going to do that on the calculator. So times 0.9235, I get $6,947.49. So 6,947, and the decimal is actually 0.4905, but since there's a 0 after that 9, I'm not going to round that up to 50 cents. I'm going to leave it at 49 cents. For number 5, it says to calculate that self-employment tax, if it's $106,000 or less, do this. If it's more than $106,000, $6,800, do this. Well, we're definitely in this category. She's not above $106,800. So we're going to take, for this line, we're going to take $6,947.49, and we're going to multiply it by 15.3%, so 0.153. Again, it says 15.3% here, but they're nice enough that they actually show you the decimal here. So we just have to multiply this on our calculator. And I'm going to go ahead and clear out what I had, not use the answer from the last one since I rounded that. So 6947.49 times 0.153. And I get $1,062. So 1062, and it's 0.96597. Let me write that down here. So this comes out to be 1062.96597 is what we get when we multiply that. And so since I need to round it to the nearest penny, I have to round it to this decimal place, because this is, dimes and this is pennies. And so since this is a 5, I'm going to round this up to 7. So I'm going to put $1,062.97. And once I have that, then this, I'm just going to take $1,062.97, and I'm going to multiply it by 50%. And every time we do these problems, it's going to be the same process, other than you may have a case where it's under 400, or you may have a case where it's over 106,800, and you have to multiply by this different amount. But the same process as far as following the directions through. So if I take that times 0.5, I get $531 and 0.485. So that's going to be 0.49. Okay, so you don't have to put a decimal there. That line indicates the decimal. This is how much, if I understand the form correctly, which I believe I do, this is how much she would owe for taxes for her business for that year. $531.49 out of her $7,523 profit would go to the government. So she would get roughly $7,000 and the government would get $531. So now we're just going to analyze a couple of the things that we did. It says here that companies match FICA contributions with their employees, or of their employees. So if you were working for a company or another entity, the employer would pay 7.65% and the employee would pay 7.65%. Well, self-employed individuals don't have that advantage. They don't have an employer that's going to pay half of that. And so to compensate for that and to not dissuade people from owning small businesses, self-employed individuals only have to multiply, or have to take what they profited and multiply it by 92.35%. So the question is, where do you think that 92.35% comes from? Well, it comes directly from the fact that they're saying if you're basically you're employing yourself, you don't have an employer, but we don't want to punish you for that. And so they're going to take 100% and they're going to subtract out what your employer would have paid if you had an employer and only make you pay on the leftover. So if you take 100% minus 7.65%, that's where they get the 92.35%. So you notice that was the first thing we did, and so she doesn't actually pay taxes on $7,523. She actually only has to pay taxes on the $6,947.49. So that's what she's paying taxes on. The other amount was not taxed. What does the amount on line 5 represent? Well, on line 5, again, that is are her taxes, but if she had an employer, her employer would pay for half of those. So this is what an employer and an employee would pay together. But since she's her own employer, they only make you pay as the employee. And so instead of making you pay the entire $1,062.97, you're only required to pay half of it. So you are only on the hook for that much rather than the whole amount. And again, they could do it differently, but this is how they decide to do it. And it's basically to encourage people to have small businesses because that helps the economy. Now for number 4, they want me to take this process, or to have us take this process and write it as just one single expression. I'm not fond of that. I don't think that's the best route to go, so I'm just going to ignore this for the most part. I'm going to write it down just so you could see it, but don't worry that I'm going to ask you how to do this myself. But just in case you run across it on the homework or something. So we took 0 plus 0 plus $7,523, and then we multiplied it by 0.9235. And then we took that amount and we multiplied it by 0.153, and then we multiplied that by 0.5. So we added these all up, and then we just did multiply, multiply, multiply. And that would be our single calculation. So that was the end of Lesson 7C, or Lesson 7 Part C. And now we're going to go on and do this calculation again, but with a different person. So for the first question here, it says complete question 1 individually, and when you're finished, check your answer with your group. So what I would recommend that you do right now is that you pause the video. I'm going to read this through, but once we do, I would pause the video and try to fill this form out yourself. When you're done, resume the video and then see if you got it right. So we'll just read this situation together. It says Raven Craig started a tutoring business at the end of 2010. She has no income to report on line 1A or 1B, so that's the farm income and the Social Security income. She also has a 0 entry on line 29 of form 1040. She earned $1,050 and her expenses totaled $630. How much self-employment tax does Raven Craig owe? So now I would pause this at this point and try to fill this form out to the best of your ability and see how you do, and then turn it back on. So if you tried this on your own, did you get an answer of that Raven Craig owes no self-employment taxes? Now remember, we have to do all the little if-then things here. So hopefully you have 0 for her farm profit and 0 for her Social Security, retirement, disability benefits. Hopefully you got this $420. The way I got that was from taking her $1,050 income and subtracting the $630 that she spent to get that she only profited $420. So $420 is her profit. We add these 3 amounts to get line 3, which is 0 plus 0 plus 420, so we get 420 again. And then for here, we're going to multiply line 3 by 0.9235. So if we do that, then we get $387.79. Well, this line says if it's less than $400, you don't owe any self-employment tax. So we don't need to go to line 5 and multiply by 0.153 because she made too little money. Again, the government basically says, you know, if that's all that you made, go ahead and you can just keep it all. We're not going to take any from you. One time maybe that the government takes a little pity on people. And so this was what she was going to owe taxes on, but since it's so low, they said she doesn't owe anything. So what does she owe? She owes 0. Now, if you made a mistake, don't worry about that. That's part of the learning process. If you forgot that you were supposed to stop here if it was $400 or less, just remember that for the next problem that you do. Assume the program, I'm sorry, let me start up here a little bit. It says, look back at the expression we wrote in Lesson 7, Part C. That was where we had everything all strung out. And it says, think of yourself as a tax expert that's working with a computer programmer. Your task is to explain how to compute an individual's self-employment tax when the individual knows his or her revenues and expenses. The individual is going to have no farm profits, no Social Security or disability benefits. They're going to have a 0 entry for line 29, just like we did for the other two scenarios. And we want to word this step by step to help the programmer understand the process. So assume the programmer has already established that the individual has 0 entries on line 1A and 1B. What information should the computer program request first? Now, this is kind of, you could look at this a little bit differently, but from doing this before, what I believe that they want you to do on 2 and 3 is to say that you would first want to enter their income. And then you would want to ask for their expenses. So you would ask, what was your income from your business? What were your expenses from your business? So it would get these two amounts. Like for Raven, that would be $1,050 and $630. Next, what operation should the program perform to compute the amount on line 2? Well, to do that, it would take, and again, this depends on if we're assuming this is always going to be 0 or that we assume that this could be different. But I'm going to say we're going to take line 1A. Whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting to 3. Hold off on that. So for line 2, that's where we would want to subtract. So we would take the income and we would subtract the expenses. And then it says, next the programmer wants to compute line 3. Assume the program has already established that we have zeros here. So again, they already are saying that we know those are zeros. What operation should the program perform to compute the amount in line 3? So what it should do is it should just take whatever is in line 2. If we already know that 1A and 1B are zeros, all it would have to do is take what's in line 2 and put it into line 3. So it would just repeat the entry for line 2. Again, if we are assuming these are already zeros. Then it says, next the programmer wants to compute line 4. What operation should it do then? So it should take whatever's on line, keep wanting to write line 3, and multiply that times the 0.9235 because they don't have to pay taxes on everything since they're their own employer. And then it says, finally, the programmer wants to compute line 5. Help the programmer complete the if-then statements. So within the program, the programmer can make a statement that says, if this, do this, if this, do that. It can tell the computer those kind of directions. So if it comes across that line 4 is less than $400, what should we tell the computer to do? Well, it says, if line 4 is less than $400, like Raven Craig's, then they don't have to pay anything. So if it's less than $400, then you should tell the computer, however you program that, to enter 0 into line 5 and line 6. And you can stop there. Now, if line 4 is greater than $400, but it's still less than $106,800, then we're going to enter, well, let me hold off. Let me not say enter. We're going to take line 4 times 0.153, and we're going to put that into line 5. And then we're going to take line 5 times half, and we're going to put that into line 6. If line 4 is greater than $106,800, then we're going to take line 4 and we're going to multiply it by this other amount, this 2.9%, so 0.029, and we're going to then add 13,243 and 20 cents, and we're going to put that in line 5. And then our last step is the same. In fact, we could even use this line 5 for all of them, because 0 times half would still be 0. So we could use the same thing here. But line 5, then we're going to take times 0.5, and we're going to put that into line 6. So just doing a little bit of playing around with what a computer programmer does when they, program a thing like TurboTax or something like that. Of course, it's got a lot of nuances and complications, more than what we're looking at, but it still gives you kind of a basic idea of what they have to do. They just have to code the computer to do these simple calculations. So the last couple questions on this lesson have us write out a long string of what to do, and I don't want to do that. I think it's confusing, and I don't think it's very helpful to you, so I'm not going to do 8 and 9. I do want to point out, though, why this happens. So over here where it says if it's more than 106,800, multiply it by 2.9% and then add 13,243. The reason that they do that is, and this is why some people get upset with the way taxes are handled, is after that $106,800, that initial amount that you have to pay 15.3% on, if you make above that, then after that you only have to pay 2.9%. So this 13,243 is taking the difference between these two amounts, between the 15.3% and the 2.9%, and multiplying that by the initial 106,800, and then we take the whole amount times 2.9% from there. Again, you don't have to worry too much about that, but just remember, if it does go over 106,800, we're supposed to multiply it by 0.029 and add 13,243. But this is why some people get frustrated by taxes, because they say, why should somebody who makes more money not have to pay as high of a rate on their taxes as someone who makes less money? And I'm not going to go into a big political government discussion, but that's one of the reasons why people get upset by that. And so this person, other than their initial $106,800, anything they make over that, whether it be $100,000, $200,000, $1 million, according to this form, they would only have to pay less than 3% on the rest of that income. So hopefully this has helped you out, and we will pick up our next video with lesson 8.